At the class reunion, my first love instigated my wife to play an ambiguous challenge. Just a kiss, that's all. It's such a pity you two broke up back then. When I received the photo, I was grading homework for my child. In the living room, Luke Kingston was bending over. His rough fingers clasped a pencil that had been sharpened a bit bluntly, pointing at a question in the workbook. Nina, look here. There are 5 birds on the tree. 3 fly away. Then 2 more fly in. How many birds are left on the tree now? Yun. Nina's soft, fluffy hair was tousled from just waking up. Her little eyebrows furrowed tightly. She bent her chubby fingers, muttering to herself, only 3 flew away. So, that leaves 2. No, that's not right. 3 flew away. 5 minus 3 is 2. Then 2 more fly in. 2 plus 2 is 4. The little girl suddenly looked up, her sparkling eyes gazing at her dad. Daddy, it's 4, right? The corner of Luke Kingston's mouth curled up slightly. Before he could praise her, the phone on the dining table began vibrating insistently. The screen lit up, then went dark, then lit up again. Utterly persistent. He glanced over. It was an unknown number. At this hour, even telemarketers should be off work by now, right? Nina, you're so smart. It's indeed 4. He ruffled his daughter's hair, stood up. Daddy's going to take this call. Finish the 2 riddle problems at the back. I'll check them later. Nina nodded vigorously, crawled back over her small study desk, her little braids swaying with her writing motions. Luke Kingston grabbed the phone and stepped out to the balcony, casually sliding the glass door shut, completely separating it from the living room. With the scratching sound of pencil on paper, the early autumn evening breeze carried a chill as it blew in. He swiped to answer. Hello? Kingston, it's me, David Harris. The voice on the other end carried a deliberate warmth and an excitement he couldn't hide. Luke Kingston quickly scanned his mind. This name, Harris. Oh, that boastful guy from their class, whose family ran a small building materials shop. Samantha Vance seemed to have mentioned it briefly before leaving home today, saying they had a high school class reunion at some Apex Grand restaurant in the city center. He had just hummed in response back then, telling her not to come home too late. Harris, what's up? Luke Kingston's tone was completely flat. Heh, Mr. Luke, nothing major really. Just, you know. David Harris hesitated on the other end. The background noise was a bit chaotic. You could faintly hear clinking glasses and raucous laughter. Well, your wife came to the reunion today, right? Having quite a fun time, you know? Hey, anyway, Mr. Luke, has your wife mentioned that guy from high school to you? The one named Travis Kane? The name Travis Kane was like a small pebble, gently tossed into the calm lake of Luke Kingston's mind. Of course, he knew Travis Kane was Samantha Vance's first love from high school, who went abroad before even graduating college. Lost contact for so many years. This name had almost been covered in a thick layer of dust. He remembered. Samantha Vance had mentioned it once or twice long ago, in her tone, carrying that hazy regret typical of youthful old story. But that was all. He had never dug deeper, nor felt there was anything worth pursuing, until Luke Kingston's voice dropped a notch, his fingers unconsciously gripping the phone tighter. What's going on? Oh man, it's just an old class reunion, you know. The vibe was heating up, so everyone started egging on some little games to liven things up. David Harris's voice revealed that glee at stirring up trouble. The whole group said, let your wife and Travis Kane relive a bit of that old feeling from back then. It's all just for fun. Mr. Luke, don't take it to heart, okay? Luke Kingston said nothing. The city lights outside the balcony reflected on his expressionless face. He heard on the phone, David Harris. That tone clearly seeking credit and probing. In his stomach, It felt like a slab had been shoved in my, a stone both cold and hard. Relive the old feeling? How exactly? The brief silence, on the other end, seemed to excite David Harris even more, or make him more eager to wash his hands of something. Samantha, Samantha, are you listening? No, and nah. It was really just playing around. Everyone was having fun. Oh, the photo. I sent it to you. Take a look and you'll see. Really nothing. Just everyone joking a bit. David Harris rattled off quickly, without waiting for any reaction from Luke Kingston. The call was disconnected. The long beep tone rang in his ear. Luke Kingston slowly lowered the phone. The screen was still lit, showing the ended call interface. A few seconds later, a new message slid down from the top of the screen, notifying the sender as David Harris. The content was just 2 words, photo here, followed by an attached thumbnail image that was glaringly small, dim lighting. The background was a flashy KTV room, those garish colored lights. The thumbnail was tiny and blurry, but Luke Kingston recognized at a glance the side profile in the milky white knitted sweater, with slightly curly long hair, was Samantha Vance. Facing her was a man in casual clothes standing very close, very close. The man in a suit, slightly bowing his head, his expression unclear, but that posture was filled with an indescribable tension. Luke Kingston's finger hovered over the screen. The fingertip felt a bit cold. The cool breeze on the balcony blew through. He felt a chill again. In the living room, Nina's childish voice echoed, "Daddy, I'm done." He took a deep breath. That breath drawn in deep and heavy, as if trying to inhale all the chill of this early autumn afternoon, deep into his lungs. He didn't immediately tap to open the photo, but pressed to turn off the phone screen. A few seconds later, he pressed to light the screen again. His fingertip glided over the cold glass, opening WeChat. The photo David Harris sent instantly filled the entire screen. Lots of noise, dim lighting, Apex Grand Restaurant. The luxurious private room background on the 9th floor was blurred. Only the 2 people in the center of the frame were crystal clear. Samantha Vance slightly lifted her face, her cheeks flushed from drinking, her eyes a bit dreamy, long lashes drooping. The corner of her mouth even held a hint of a faint smile that seemed helpless but also indulgent. The man named Travis Kane, one hand loosely placed on the sofa arm next to Samantha Vance, his posture like half enclosing her into his territory. His other hand was gently touching, lifting Samantha Vance's chin in an extremely ambiguous way, his face leaning in very close, so close their noses were almost touching, his gaze falling straight on Samantha Vance's lips. Around them were blurry figures moving. You could tell they were all egging on, some clapping, some holding up phones to snap. David Harris's chubby face full of excitement, grinning widely in one corner of the photo. The moment the photo was captured, Travis Kane's lips were from Samantha Vance's, perhaps less than half a finger joint away. The garish and chaotic lights in the private room, shining on their faces, on their bodies, in the air seeming to float the scent of alcohol, hormones and unrestrained laughter, creating a thick, sticky flavor. Luke Kingston stared at that photo for a long time. Nina's voice echoed through the glass door again, carrying a tiny bit of excitement, and the relief after completing a task. "Daddy, I'm really done now. Come check it quickly." Luke Kingston's finger twitched slightly. His knuckles whitened from the force. He exited the image without saving. Didn't even bother to look a second time. He closed the chat window with David Harris, the motion very slow and composed. Then he turned and slid open the balcony glass door. The warm lights in the living room, and his daughter's tender face, flooded into view. "Daddy's coming." His voice sounded no different from usual. He even forced a smile for Nina. He walked over and sat down next to his daughter, picked up her workbook. "Let Daddy see how Nina did." His gaze fell on the scribbled numbers and calculations. The pencil marks smudged on the paper. Crystal clear. It was just his hand, holding the pencil to grade for his child, gripped so tight that the knuckles bulged under the skin. Apex Grand Restaurant. That noisy party didn't end early. When Samantha Vance got home, the wall clock was nearly pointing to 11. The living room had only a dim yellow wall lamp on, the gentle light spilling down. Luke Kingston sat at the dining table. In front of him spread Nina's workbook and a few printed reports. Beside his hand was a glass of water long gone cold. He held a pencil in his hand, the tip hovering over the paper for half a day, without writing a word. Hearing the key in the door, his fingertip twitched as if snapping awake, but his eyes didn't immediately look up. The door opened, a waft of alcohol smell, mixed with restaurant grease and faint perfume, all rushing in at once. "Kingston, you're still up?" Samantha Vance's voice showed clear fatigue, also a lingering excitement from the party. She kicked off her high heels, slipped into house slippers, making soft pat, pat sounds. She rubbed her temples as she headed to the kitchen. Only then did Luke Kingston slowly raise his head. The careful makeup on Samantha Vance's face was slightly smudged. The eyeliner smeared a bit at the corners. Lipstick faded. The red flush on her cheeks hadn't fully dissipated. On the collar of her milky white sweater, it seemed something had brushed against it, leaving a faint, hard-to-spot stain. Her whole body exuded weariness from overexertion. Yeah, waiting for Nina to sleep before checking some stuff. That's true. Luke Kingston's gaze lingered on her face for 2 seconds, then calmly shifted back to the report in front, his voice neither high nor low, no emotion detectable. Samantha Vance noticed nothing unusual. She went to the dining table and poured herself a glass of warm water, gulped down half in one go, then sighed in relief. "I'm exhausted." Those guys really know how to party. Especially the ones like David Harris. But now, a bit of alcohol and they go wild. No sense at all. Whoa. Her tone carried a hint of complaint. Also a touch of nostalgia from reuniting with old friends. Luke Kingston's fingers holding the pencil unconsciously tightened further. The tip dug deep into the paper, creating a small dent. He didn't respond. Samantha Vance set down the glass. As if remembering something, she walked behind him, naturally placed both hands on his shoulders, gently massaging. Today's reunion was interesting. Why will I? So many people have changed a lot. Well, guess who I met? Travis Kane. He's back in the country. Hasn't changed much. Just feels, more mature than before. One day, her voice casual, with the ease of recounting old tale, her fingers kneading his shoulders with moderate pressure. Travis Kane? Finally Luke Kingston spoke, his tone flat, as if asking about today's weather. Yeah, my high school friend, I told you about him before. Waniru. The one who sat behind me. Samantha Vance was completely unaware, her fingers still moving on his shoulders. He was there tonight. Those guys like David Harris loved to stir things up. No. Kept insisting on playing some ambiguous challenge. So boring, she pouted, her tone carrying a bit of helplessness. Luke Kingston's body, under her hands, stiffened for an instant, unnoticed. The warm sensation at her fingertips now felt like needle pricks. Ambiguous challenge? He repeated once, his voice still without ripple, but his gaze grew heavier, staring at the dot pierced by the pencil tip on the paper. Peft. Just messing around randomly. Samantha Vance seemed to find it both amusing and a tad embarrassing. Kept making me and him do some intimate actions. Saying it was to make up for regrets from back then or something. See how idle they are. That was so many years ago. She lightly patted Luke Kingston's shoulder, as if complaining about the old friend's antics. "Oh," Luke Kingston hummed softly, very lightly. Finally, he set down the pencil. The pencil rolled on the table, making a soft clack sound. He picked up the ice-cold glass of water beside him, took a sip, the cold stream sliding down his throat, carrying a slight stinging pain. "So did you do it?" He set the glass down and asked, his voice steady, no hint of any ripple. Samantha Vance's motion paused for a beat, then quickly resumed the massaging rhythm. Her voice had a touch of reproach for having a little secret exposed. "Oh dear, in that scene with everyone watching, egging on so enthusiastically, I had to show some face, right? And when? Otherwise it'd kill the mood. Wow. Plus Travis Kane was pretty awkward too. So just cooperated a tiny bit. Just going through the motions. Really just a little," she emphasized, her fingers pressing harder on Luke Kingston's shoulders, as if seeking sympathy or reassurance. "It was all just fun. Who takes it seriously? That loudmouth David Harris. Did he blab something to you again?" "No." Luke Kingston was silent. His gaze fell on the table, right next to Nina's workbook. The phone screen dark dot, but the photo with dim lighting, capturing that moment, was etched vividly in his mind. That hand, cupping the chin, that face, leaning close, the dreamy eyes, and faint smile at the corner of the mouth, and David Harris's excited face. They were like silent film reels, replaying over and over before his eyes. "Kingston?" Samantha Vance felt her husband's body under her hands, seeming even stiffer. She curiously bent down, tilted her head to see his expression. "What's wrong with you? Are you really mad? It's not that serious, right?" "Mr. D. It was just a game." She leaned her face closer, her warm breath carrying the scent of alcohol, brushing past Luke Kingston's ear. Luke Kingston suddenly tilted his head to avoid her approach, his motion not forceful but very clear, not mad. He stood up, the chair legs scraped on the wooden floor, making a short squeak. Finally, he looked at Samantha Vance, his gaze very calm like a deep lake with a thin layer of ice, beneath which something was slowly churning, but not revealing a single ripple. "It's late, you reek of alcohol. Go shower and sleep. Shall we?" His voice even carried a mild urge. Samantha Vance was stunned by his abrupt standing, looking at his ripple-free face. The bit of comfort in her heart, from the party and the buzz, was like a balloon punctured, instantly deflating. In its place was a vague unease and guilt, hazy and nameless. She wanted to explain something, opened her mouth. Nina has school tomorrow." "Yanni?" Luke Kingston interrupted her, his tone still without fluctuation. He circled the dining table straight to the bedroom, closed the door. A soft click sounded. The door was shut tight. Samantha Vance stood alone under the dim yellow light of the dining room, looking at the closed bedroom door, then lowered her head to look at herself. On her clothes, seeming to still linger the noisy breath from the private room, in the air, wafting the scent of alcohol, and also the feeling of distant coldness emanating from her husband just now, a strangeness she had never felt before. That feeling was even more bone-chilling than the early autumn night wind. The days felt like slow motion had been activated, or like being wrapped in a thick layer of sticky glue, heavily inching forward. Everything in the house seemed unchanged. Luke Kingston still went to work on time, picked up and dropped off Nina, guided her with homework. Even when Samantha Vance complained about work fatigue, he still silently poured her a glass of water. At the dining table, occasionally he asked about Nina's school gently, just that something had changed. Luke Kingston spoke much less. Before, after dinner, He often chatted a few sentences about company matters with Samantha Vance, or listened to her office gossip. Now, after eating and clearing dishes, he dove straight into the study, or sat in the corner of the living room sofa, tapping something on the laptop. The screen light cast on his face a focused coldness. His attitude toward Samantha Vance, polite like toward a roommate. Her concerns only got responses like, "Yeah, got it, just leave it," short replies. He no longer touched her. The habitual hugs before leaving home, the unconscious closeness at bedtime, all vanished. He slept on the far side of the bed. Between them, an invisible wide river. Samantha Vance hadn't not tried to get close again. She bought his favorite cake. He just thanked flatly and set it aside. She tried finding topics to chat. He either stayed silent or gave perfunctory replies. Even one night, she leaned in. Her hand just touching his arm was brushed away casually, but very firmly. "Tired. Go to sleep." His voice rang in the darkness, still, without ripple, but like a bucket of cold water dumped over. Samantha Vance's heart sank bit by bit. That photo, it must be that photo. David Harris, that bastard. She was angry, hateful, panicked. Several times she wanted to bring up that night, to explain in detail, but looking at the calm face, almost indifferent of Luke Kingston, all words stuck in her throat, couldn't utter a single one. Explain what? Say it was just a game. Say she was forced. Say Travis Kane was just coincidental. Before his enveloping coldness and mute silence, all explanations became pale and powerless. Even like sophistry to cover up, she could only console herself. He needs time. Time will ease his discomfort. Wait a few more days. Wait until this fades in his mind, and it'll be fine. What she didn't know was, while she was tormented by this cold silence, to the point of restlessness, the world beneath Luke Kingston's calm shell was conducting another, silent operation. Luke Kingston worked at a large accounting firm as senior audit manager. His job was dealing with numbers from vast complex report data piles, finding tiny anomalies, illogical points, like a hunting dog sniffing the faintest trace of prey. The name Travis Kane, like a cold chord, input into his brain. He utilized the convenience of his profession. Of course, cautious testing on the sidelines of regulations, mobilizing some resources and existing networks, investigating someone just returned not long. Foundation, not solid, for someone dealing year-round with financial data of all sorts of companies like him. It wasn't difficult. Information like small streams quietly converging. Travis Kane, 32, returned after gilding abroad, carrying the halo of elite overseas student, relying on some family connection, and so-called advanced concepts brought back. He invested in a mid-sized building materials trading company named Far Horizon, also hung a nominal vice president title, mainly handling high-end market channels. The legal representative cum actual controller was exactly the one who excitedly sent him the photo that night. David Harris. Luke Kingston stared at the compiled info on the computer, his gaze sharp as a scalpel. Far Horizon, David Harris, Travis Kane. These three formed a solid triangle of interests. He opened a non-public internal query portal of the tax system. He happened to have temporary high-level access from some project. Entered Far Horizon's ID code. Volumes of declaration data. Invoice issuance records. Bank statements. Summary info instantly flooded the screen. Luke Kingston quickly scanned, his fingers sliding precisely on the touchpad. Clicking. Filters. Those dry numbers and terms. Under his eyes came alive, auto-assembling, outlining hidden contours. 1. For 3 consecutive quarters. Far Horizon paid substantial market promotion fees. and consulting service fees to several shell companies registered in remote areas. Business scopes clearly mismatched with main industry. The final destinations of these funds all pointed to personal accounts. 1, 2. Several huge raw material purchase contracts. The invoicing party and contract signer had subtle differences in names. Moreover, purchase prices markedly higher than market rates in the same period. 1, 3. Also, the most crucial point, Luke Kingston extracted records of value-added tax declarations for nearly a year from Far Horizon. An inconspicuous detail jumped out. Several transport invoices used for input tax deductions. Vehicle info of the contracting unit. After he used an internal linked platform of the transport system, thanks to the vague query access from the project he held, he discovered the license plates of those vehicles during the invoicing period had absolutely no traffic records on the routes noted on the invoices. Completely fabricated transport operations, fake transactions, issuing bogus invoices, cash withdrawals, profit shifting, tax evasion. What? These words like cold lead blocks, one by one, weighing on Luke Kingston's heart. The evidence chain, though not complete, but the direction was crystal clear. David Harris and Travis Kane's company had systematic tax law violations involving substantial amounts. Luke Kingston leaned back in the chair. In the study, only the faint whir of the computer fan. The cold light from the screen reflected his expressionless face. He picked up the phone on the desk. The screen lit up. The lock wallpaper was Nina smiling so wide her eyes squinted. He extended his index finger, the fingertip hovering over the screen. He paused a few seconds on that carefree, smiling little face. Then the fingertip shifted, landing on a nameless contact in the address book. Just a string of numbers. The note for that contact was just a single, simple letter. He dialed it. The phone rang once and was quickly answered. From the other side came a deep male voice with little emotion. "Bro Mindaro Ba. It's me." Luke Kingston's voice pressed very low. In the quiet study, the words rang clear. "Help me send an anonymous file set. Far Horizon Building Materials Company. David Harris. Focus on checking their recent year's transport invoices. The deduction parts, especially those with plate endings 375,892, were, yeah. Also the expenses they paid to Grand Vision Consult and New Achievement Market. Check the final flow destinations." Well, hooray. The other end silent for 2 seconds, as if absorbing the info. The detail level sufficient for a case filing investigation. Luke Kingston uttered these words, tone without ripple, as fast as possible. "Understood." The other replied curtly, "Old rules," then hung up. Luke Kingston set down the phone, his gaze turning back to the cold numbers and charts on the computer screen. David Harris's grinning face in the photo corner. Travis Kane's hand cupping Samantha Vance's chin. Samantha Vance's dreamy eyes. 9D. These images flashed in turn, finally all sinking into the ocean of numbers, representing this tax evasion. The study door was gently knocked twice. "Kingston?" It was Samantha Vance's voice, with a hint of caution. "It's late. Aren't you sleeping?" "Or me, and you will die." Luke Kingston didn't turn back. His finger tapped the keyboard once. The computer screen instantly darkened. The study plunged into darkness. He stood up, went to the door, pulled it open. Samantha Vance stood outside in pajamas, the living room light outlining her slightly thin silhouette. Her face carried worry and a barely noticeable attempt to please. "Yeah, let's sleep." Luke Kingston squeezed past her, headed straight to the bedroom. His gaze didn't even pause on her face for a second. As they brushed past, carrying a whiff of cool air, he closed the bedroom door. Samantha Vance stood at the study door, looking at the tightly shut bedroom door, then turned to look at the pitch-black study behind. A huge, helpless and cold feeling enveloped her. She felt herself like standing on an endless ice field. No matter which direction she went, there was only bone-piercing cold and silence to despair. A week passed under false calm, slow like flowing asphalt. Samantha Vance tried to play the role of nothing wrong. She cleaned the house more diligently, varied all the dishes Nina liked, tried using family warmth to dispel the pervasive coldness. Even on a weekend, she specially suggested the whole family go to the new amusement park. Luke Kingston didn't object, and they went. He played merry-go-round with Nina, built sandcastles in the pit, his face even wearing the gentle smile of a father. Just when Nina ran off to the slide, leaving the two standing side by side at the fence, that gentle smile vanished instantly, left only a deep fatigue and distance that only Samantha Vance could feel. He didn't even glance at her, his eyes following Nina's tiny figure, treating her like air. Samantha Vance's heart sank to the abyss, each cautious probe, each deliberate pleasing, like stones sinking in the sea, stirring no ripple. The shadow of that reunion night, like a huge invisible cage, tightening their family space, blocking all warmth. Just as Samantha Vance was about to be driven mad by this silent torment, a bombshell news like a bomb toppled far horizon and crushed her too. The news came from Travis Kane's call, the voice on the other end completely distorted, no longer the calm, mature facade he tried at the reunion, but filled with horror and despair of no way out. Even with sobs, Samantha, something happened. Carnage, it's huge. Travis Kane's voice trembled breathlessly. Harris's company. Harris is done for. Why? Tax bureau people with investigation notice, and police too, stormed right into the company. Yee! The finance room all sealed. Computers, books, safes all locked down. Now, Samantha Vance held the phone, momentarily unable to react. What? Tax bureau? Police? What's with Harris's company? Massive tax evasion. They say suspected of crime. Why? Travis Kane yelled into the phone. Harris was taken away on the spot. Me too. I was required to cooperate with investigation. They asked so many questions. So much about cash flows. About those invoices. I know nothing. I'm just a nominal holder. He rambled, the fear almost piercing through the phone line. How could this happen? Samantha Vance's heart tightened, a strong unease enveloping her. Harris, how is he done for? Oh, I am ruined completely. Travis Kane, as if not hearing her question, just venting his own fear. Company accounts frozen. All operations halted. Suppliers surrounding demanding payment. Banks chasing debts. Assets in my name targeted too. House, car, all lost. Samantha, help me. You have to save me. He clung like to the last straw, his voice full of pleading. I know Luke Kingston. Why now, Lee? He has connections at the tax bureau. He knows many leaders. Help me beg him. Ask him to think of a way. Only he can save me now. As long as he's willing to help handle it. Even if find a bit, it's okay. Gee, I'm going crazy. Travis Kane's cries, the pleas, like needles, piercing Samantha Vance's ears. Luke Kingston, tax bureau, danger. These words swirled hard in her head, crashing into each other. A vague but extremely terrifying thought, like a cold venomous snake, silently crawling up her spine. The reunion, the photo, Luke Kingston's bone-chilling silence. And right after, David Harris and Travis Kane's company, under tax investigation, teetering on collapse. This timing, damn this timing. A chill surged from her soles straight up her body, Samantha Vance's hand holding the phone trembled uncontrollably. She suddenly looked up toward the living room. Luke Kingston was sitting on the sofa, holding one of Nina's comic books, as if reading with his daughter, but his eyes dazed, not knowing where focused. His face still that calm, almost indifferent. Kingston. Samantha Vance's voice carried a tremble she herself didn't notice. Luke Kingston slowly raised his head to look at her, his gaze bland without ripple, as if looking at an unrelated stranger. Travis Kane call. Nhi. Samantha Vance struggled to form words. She felt her throat dry to pain. He said David Harris's company is under tax bureau investigation. The person taken away too. He begged me to say only you can help. Said you know people at the tax bureau. Aye. She stared into Luke Kingston's eyes, trying from those deep lake-like eyes to find a bit of stir, a bit of emotion, even a bit of mockery would do. Luke Kingston listened quietly, his face without any expression change. Waited for Samantha Vance to finish. He then raised his brow imperceptibly, the corner of his mouth seeming to curl up a tiny bit, but that curve cold without a trace of warmth. Oh, he responded blandly, as if what he just heard was tomorrow's weather forecast. He set down the comic book, stood up. His gaze skimmed Samantha Vance's pale face. Without pausing, went straight to the kitchen. Nina wants some juice? Daddy will squeeze it for you. Why die? His voice very gentle, but for his daughter. That gentleness and what Samantha Vance felt now, from the other end, in Travis Kane's desperate cries, conveying extreme horror, formed a stark contrast to suffocation. Samantha Vance stood frozen like a stone statue, phone still pressed to her ear. Travis Kane's jumbled pleas kept coming. Samantha, say something. Help me beg him. For old classmates' sake. For our old times' sake. Please, I'm really out of options. Nhi. The sound of Luke Kingston turning on the juicer came clear, drowning all phone sounds. That rumbling whir, like a dull knife, sawing back and forth on Samantha Vance's heart. She looked at Luke Kingston's busy back in the kitchen, solid, steady, but exuding a coldness that repels for miles. The reunion photo, his bone-chilling silence, Travis Kane's desperate cries now, David Harris's company collapse, and Luke Kingston. This composed outsider piece now. In her chaotic brain they madly pieced together, pointing to an answer she dared not think, but already too clear. A huge fear like cold tide instantly drowned her completely. Travis Kane's call like an ill omen tore apart the false calm shell completely. The following days, bad news piled like avalanche, hitting Samantha Vance dizzy. News of David Harris, officially criminally detained, appeared in a small corner of local finance news. Far Horizon confirmed. Issuing bogus value-added invoices. Evading huge taxes. Main responsible David Harris, suspected of crime. Procuratorate, approved arrest warrant. Travis Kane as nominal shareholder and senior manager, though temporarily no coercive measures. But, in investigation, cooperation phase. All assets in his name frozen and sealed. Bank accounts deposit only, no withdrawal. Completely blacklisted. In tax and bank systems. The once smug overseas elite, in a blink became a plague god everyone avoided. Debt collection calls bombarded him day and night. Samantha Vance's situation became extremely awkward. The old classmates group long in chaos. All sorts of guessing, accusing, gloating messages flooded the screen. Those who egged on at the reunion before, those fearing not enough chaos, now seemed collective amnesia, or hasty to wash hands. The vague spears pointed at her. Everyone look at this mess. Harris really unlucky. Who knew he was so bold? But that night, Travis Kane and Samantha. Shh, don't talk nonsense. But isn't Luke Kingston said to? Have doors at the tax bureau? What night? Why no help seen? Who knows? Those ambiguous gossips, like small thorns, stabbing Samantha Vance's heart. She became the talk in friends' circle, a femme fatale possibly igniting this calamity, dice tale, leading to even at work. She felt odd stares and whispers, fear, pressure, rumors surrounding everywhere, plus horrifying guesses about Luke Kingston's silent, terrifying revenge methods. Finally, completely crushed, Travis Kane. By the third night, after assets frozen and cornered, he like a ghost appeared at the foot of Samantha Vance's building. Luke Kingston not home yet. Nina doing homework in her room. When the doorbell rang, Samantha Vance thought Luke Kingston forgot keys. She opened the door, saw Travis Kane outside looking haggard. Bloodshot eyes. Scruffy beard. She was scared, almost screaming in horror. Travis Kane, you. What's wrong? Samantha. Travis Kane with a thud, knelt right on the cold hallway floor, both hands clutching Samantha Vance's pajama hem. Hoarse, desperate voice. Tears and snot streaming. Save me. Nyahan. Please save me. I'm really out of ways. They want to sue me. I'll go to prison. My house, my car, all gone. Even my parents' house about to be auctioned. What? Wait. My whole life ruined. I beg you. Only you can save me. Please, tell Luke Kingston. Ask him to go easy and spare me. Audiostory. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have egged on. I shouldn't have approached you. All my fault. All that bastard David Harris forced me. He rambled, crying, shaking all over, prostrating lowly at Samantha Vance's feet, like a beggar near death. Where was half the mature, calm look from the reunion? Where the desire to relive old dreams? Samantha Vance, stunned by his sudden action. She wanted to pull away, but Travis Kane gripped her clothes tight. The stark white sensor light in the hallway shone on Travis Kane's twisted, desperate face, making her feel waves of nausea and fear. Get up, hurry, get up. Don't do this. Samantha Vance, panicked and scared, used force, trying to pry his hands off. Her voice trembled as well. What good does telling me do? I can't help you at all. You can help. You definitely can. Travis Kane clung as if to the last straw, lifting his head to stare at Samantha Vance, his eyes full of madness. Luke Kingston, he hates me. He's getting revenge on me. Revenge for that night. Go find him. Go beg him. You're his wife. He'll definitely listen to you. Tell him. That night, it was all them forcing me. Those guys like David Harris egging on. I was just momentarily confused. I absolutely had no improper intentions toward you. Tell him to spare me. As long as he spares me, tell me to do anything. I'll kowtow and apologize to him. I'll be his slave. Right at that moment, the elevator door dinged open. Luke Kingston carried his briefcase, expressionless as he stepped out. He wore a form-fitting long dark gray coat, his tall frame creating an extremely stark contrast with Travis Kane, kneeling on the ground, in utter misery. Tears and snot smeared. The hallway air instantly froze. Travis Kane, seeing Luke Kingston, as if seeing the Grim Reaper coming for his soul, his body shaking violently. The hand gripping Samantha Vance's clothes unconsciously loosened, his whole body going limp on the floor, only desperate sobs remaining. Samantha Vance suddenly turned back, catching Luke Kingston's gaze. That gaze, calm, without a ripple, like a cold, deep lake bottomless. Not a bit of surprise, nor any warmth. He only gave a bland glance toward Travis Kane kneeling on the ground. That gaze like looking at some trash accidentally dropped in the hallway. Then his gaze stopped on Samantha Vance's face. Samantha Vance's heart, as if squeezed by an icy hand, nearly stopping. The huge horror and a feeling of humiliation from being completely seen through instantly drowned her under that all-seeing gaze. Bone-chilling cold of Luke Kingston. Travis Kane's words, "He's getting revenge on me. Revenge for that night," echoed madly in her head like a curse. Kingston? Samantha Vance parted her lips, her voice dry, unable to utter a full syllable. Wanting to explain, to wash clean, wanting to tell Luke Kingston that Travis Kane was just talking nonsense, wanting to say she and he had no relation at all. But Luke Kingston, as if not seeing her at all, nor seeing the desperate one on the ground. He walked, leather shoes striking the glossy tiles, emitting steady, clear footsteps. He walked straight past the limped Travis Kane, to the door, taking out keys. Key inserted into the lock, twisted hard, click. Door opened. Luke Kingston leaned aside to make way at the door. His gaze finally fell on Samantha Vance again, his voice bland as if asking what's for dinner. "Come in." His gaze passed over Samantha Vance's shoulder, looking behind her, where Travis Kane lay sprawled, like a pile of mud. Only for an instant, then he immediately shifted away. In that gaze, no victor's gloat, nor a shred of pity, only thorough understanding and a cold look. Samantha Vance stood at the door, looking at her husband's calm to terrifying face inside, then turned to look at the completely broken Travis Kane, like a homeless dog behind. A huge cold air, 100 times more bone-chilling than early winter night wind, instantly nailed her in place. Travis Kane's desperate wails in the hallway finally drew neighbors' curiosity. Security came up, advising and pulling, leading a soul-scattered Travis Kane away. The hallway restored quiet, only the stark white censer light remaining, and faint breath in the air of those tears. The taste of despair. Samantha Vance almost fled, rushing into the house, slamming the door shut with force, leaning back against the cold door, her heart still pounding wildly, as if wanting to jump out her chest. The scene just now, Travis Kane kneeling in breakdown, and Luke Kingston's all-seeing, bone-chilling gaze, like two red-hot irons, fiercely searing her soul. In the living room, Luke Kingston had taken off and hung his coat. He sat on the sofa, holding Nina's workbook to check. The light cast on his angular profile, composed without a ripple, as if the chaotic drama outside the door never happened. This unusual calm made Samantha Vance feel a deeper fear than Travis Kane's wailing cries. She couldn't wait any longer. The thin paper over self-deception had been completely torn by Travis Kane, also seen through utterly by Luke Kingston's cold eyes. She had to do something, explain clearly, or else this family would truly shatter. "Kingston," her voice trembled. She rushed a few steps to the sofa, right on the rug at Luke Kingston's feet. With a thud, she knelt down. This action seemed to catch Luke Kingston's attention. His hand holding the workbook paused a beat. Finally, he looked up at his wife kneeling before him, his gaze still without warmth, like examining a stranger. "Kingston, I was wrong. I really was wrong." Samantha Vance's tears instantly welled up, rolling down her cheeks. She reached out, trembling, wanting to grasp Luke Kingston's hand on his knee, but he casually dodged. She grasped air, fingers awkwardly retracting, only able to clutch her hem tightly. That reunion night, I was confused. I was forced, she rambled, crying breathlessly. Those David Harris guys, they kept egging on nonstop. Then, Travis Kane. He leaned close. I was really stunned then. I didn't expect him to do that. I really just felt I couldn't refuse. So thought to just go through motions a bit. Just a bit. I swear I have no feelings for him at all. Why? I never thought of betraying you. Never. Please believe me. Beg you to believe me. She lifted her face, makeup smeared by tears, eyes full of lowly pleading and huge horror. She tried from Luke Kingston's eyes to find a bit of sway, a bit of trust, even a bit of anger would do. Anger at least proved he still cared. But none. Luke Kingston just quietly watched her cry, watched her repent till hoarse, his gaze calm to terrifying, even carrying a hint of mocking pity, as if watching a clumsy solo play. Just a game, right? Finally he spoke, voice not loud, but like ice awls piercing through Samantha Vance's sobs. Don't take it seriously. His tone full of indifference, like commenting on a bland movie. Samantha Vance's cries suddenly stopped, as if an invisible hand choked her throat. She looked at Luke Kingston incredulously, at his vague lip curl, cold to the extreme. Just a game, she muttered, repeating, a sense of utter absurdity and despair enveloping her. Kingston, how can this be a game? Why, ow. It was, what was it? Nhi. Luke Kingston leaned slightly closer to her, his breath very clean, carrying faint aftershave scent, but made Samantha Vance feel a suffocating cold air. A prelude to rekindling old love? Some ones would compensating for youthful regrets, or in your heart you never really let go. Yen, his voice very light, but each word like a poisoned needle, stabbing precisely where Samantha Vance feared being touched most. No, not like that. Samantha Vance shook her head frantically, tears splashing. I let go long ago. In my heart, only you, only Nina, only this family, she hastily defended, reaching to grasp him again. I swear. Now, Kingston, look at me. Look at me. What I say is all true. But Luke Kingston straightened up, leaning back on the sofa, creating distance. He picked up Nina's water glass on the coffee table, sipped water, motion leisurely. True or false, does it matter? Rao. He set down the glass, gaze falling back to the workbook in hand. His voice restored that heartbreaking blandness. Travis Kane said they forced him. You also say they forced you. Well, so you're both innocent. Only me, the one not at the scene, deserves to get that photo. Deserves to be seen as a fool. Sure. He looked up at Samantha Vance again. This time his gaze sharp as knife, carrying soul-piercing power. Samantha, that night egged by the crowd, you had many choices. You could refuse, could leave, even call me. His voice not loud, but each word clear, carrying cold weight hammering Samantha's heart. But you chose to cooperate. Chose for so-called face. For the atmosphere, not to spoil fun. To play that so-called ambiguous challenge. You chose to let another man cup your chin. Lean that close. You were even smiling. He paused a bit, looking at Samantha Vance's face, instantly pale as paper, and the light completely shattered in her eyes. Your choice shone crystal clear. In the photo David Harris sent. Wah. Luke Kingston's voice cold to extreme. Now you tell me you just went through motions? You. He slightly curled his lip. That smile without a trace of warmth. Only endless fatigue and bone-chilling disappointment. Too late. These two words, like final verdict, falling lightly, but carrying 1,000-pound weight, completely crushing Samantha Vance kneeling on the ground. Her whole body strength seemed drained in an instant. She went limp on the rug, only desperate tears silently flowing. Luke Kingston didn't bother looking at her again. He picked up Nina's workbook and pencil, stood up toward the daughter's room. His voice restored gentleness only for his child. Nina, any parts of homework you don't understand? Nanny, well, let Daddy see. The study door gently closed. completely separating from the suppressed sobbing cries in the living room. The illusory salvation before cold reality. Shattered, to no fragments left. Those two words, like two poison-iced awls, not only killing all Samantha Vance's hopeless defenses, but also smashing the last illusory hope she clung to. She collapsed on the rug, despair bone-chilling like tide, surging from all sides, drowning everything. The suffocating feeling darkened her eyes. Luke Kingston's freezing everything gaze. Indifferent, but heart-piercing questions. And his resolute back closing the door. All pointing to an end point she could no longer avoid. He wanted to leave her. The panic from this realization immediately crushed all humiliation, grievance, and regret. Only a mad survival instinct left. No, it can't end like this. She can't lose him, can't lose Nina, can't lose this family. This is all she has. The following days, Samantha Vance fell into utter madness. She took leave from work like a tireless ghost, finding every way to cling to Luke Kingston 24 hours, waiting for any crack to salvage. She started apologizing nonstop. When Luke Kingston did morning hygiene, she blocked the bathroom door, repeating regrets. When he ate breakfast, she sat opposite, eyes teary and trembling. Late night when he returned from overtime, she immediately greeted, ignoring his cold, repelling face, grabbing his arm, pleading bitterly, "Kingston, give me one more chance. Last time, I promise. I swear from now on I'll listen to everything. Now I'll stay away from those people. Now I'll go clarify with Travis Kane. Clarify with all classmates. It was me wrong. All my fault." Her voice, from too much crying and screaming, became hoarse, breathless, eyes dazed, carrying a pathological obsession. Luke Kingston's responses were deeper silence and more thorough avoidance. He no longer had any eye contact with her, her touches flung away by him. Like avoiding something filthy, he sent Nina to grandparents, completely cutting off possibility of her using the child to soften him. He started sleeping on the narrow folding bed in the study, leaving the bedroom to her. When tears and pleas completely ineffective, Samantha Vance's despair began distorting. She started stalking Luke Kingston. She suspected he had someone else outside, suspected he long wanted to dump her. She sneaked peeks at his phone, though password long changed. She installed cheap GPS tracker in his car, but next day discovered and thrown in trash by him. She like a mad wanderer downstairs his company, staring at every female colleague talking to him, with gloomy, scary eyes. One time, she even lost control, storming into Luke Kingston's office, right before several subordinates, pointing at a young female assistant, hissing question, "Is it her? Luke Kingston, is it because of her you don't want me anymore?" Well, now the office, dead silent, everyone stunned, eyes darting between a deranged Samantha Vance and expressionless Luke Kingston. Luke Kingston didn't even glance at the terrified assistant. He calmly stood up, stepped before Samantha Vance, voice not loud, but with unchallengeable authority, "Get out. Randa. I won't. Tell me if it's her. Way. Dig out." Samantha Vance madly grabbed his vest. Luke Kingston brushed her hand off, force not strong, but very firm. He no longer looked at her, directly picked up desk phone. "Security, come to my office." That moment, what Samantha Vance saw in his eyes, only cold disgust and thorough distance. No trace of old affection left. She was escorted out by security, like an abandoned woman, fleeing amid gazes of sympathy or mockery. The world collapsed under her feet. She felt thrown into a bottomless, dark abyss. Nothing to cling to. Fear swallowed all remaining reason. That night, Luke Kingston, late exiting the study, to kitchen for water. Living room, pitch black. only dim streetlight filtering through window. He just reached mid-living room. Already smelled strong disinfectant, mixed with rusty scent. His steps halted. Suddenly flipped living room light. Stark white light instantly dispelled darkness. Samantha Vance curled on the floor, between sofa and coffee table. She wore thin pajamas, left arm dangling limp. On wrist, clearly a wound, still oozing blood non-stop. Beside a fruit knife, blood smeared. Her face pale as paper, eyes dazed, staring ceiling. But, mouth corner, hung a weird smile, as if relieved. On floor, pooled a glaring dark red blood puddle. Seeing light on, she labored, moving eyes toward him. Voice, weak as thread. Finally, you look at me. Don't go. Don't abandon me, okay? Nah. Blood still non-stop flowing from her wrist, dyeing the rug dark red. Luke Kingston stood a few steps away, light stretching his tall shadow, looking at the spreading blood puddle on floor, at Samantha Vance's pale, desperate face, at the ghastly wrist wound. On his face, first time appeared intense emotion, fluctuation, but not horror, not pity, nor panic, but a fatigue, extreme, indescribable, and a deep, profound sorrow, bone-chilling. That sorrow, thick, unmelting, weighing at his eye depths. He didn't immediately rush to aid, nor panicked call 911. He just stood there looking down at her, watching her struggle in blood, watching her in despair perform final act, a mad gamble with life as stake. Time seemed frozen. Seconds later, Luke Kingston slowly took a deep breath. He took out phone. Hand steady, dialed emergency. Voice clear, reporting address and condition. Then, hung up. Went to sofa side. Took clean towel, then knelt. He said no more, nor looked in Samantha Vance's eyes. Just used towel, pressed hard on her wrist, where wound still bleeding. Pressure very strong, with unrefusable firmness. Blood quickly dyed white towel red. Samantha Vance, by this sudden motion, made to moan in pain, dazed eyes seeming to focus momentarily, looking at him with hope glint. Luke Kingston still didn't look at her. He just silently pressed tight the wound, head bowed, bangs drooping, obscuring his eyes, only visible, lip line, pursed, bloodless, and jawline set cold. In air, only Samantha Vance's weak moans left, and her pressured heavy breaths. That thick, bloody stench, mixed with despair and madness breath, enveloping whole space. The salvation with life as sacrifice. Finally, only exchanged deeper fatigue and more thorough despair. The shrill ambulance siren tore the night silence. Emergency staff rushed in, professionally, lifted Samantha Vance onto stretcher. Her wrist wound, not deep, not hitting vital, but blood loss considerable. Face pale as paper, eyes dazed, staring ceiling. Left to medical staff arrange. Luke Kingston silently followed behind stretcher to hospital. He calmly did procedures. Signed, paid fees. Motions orderly. Face without any expression, as if handling unrelated work matter. Only when our doctor asked patient condition, he briefly stated, overexcited, self-harm. Yield high. Samantha Vance, taken to treatment room to clean wound and stitch. Luke Kingston sat on cold plastic chairs in hallway, back straight like silent stone statue. Strong stinging disinfectant smell, overpowered faint bloody scent on him. Stark white light cast on his face, revealing deep fatigue between brows. But under that fatigue, a resolute firmness like rock covered in ice. Time ticked by minute second. Hallway occasionally hurried medical staff passing. Footsteps in quiet space, clear. Treatment room door opened. Nurse pushed Samantha Vance out. Her left wrist wrapped thick gauze. Face still pale, but eyes no longer dazed, but staring at Luke Kingston sitting there, carrying near mad obsession, and last week hope glint. She pushed before Luke Kingston, wound treated, need hospital observation one night, to prevent infection and unstable psychology. Say, nurse instructed, family pay more attention care her. New. Luke Kingston nodded, said nothing. Nurse left. Hallway, left only them, two, air pressured as if wringable water. Samantha Vance, strained, wanting to sit up from gurney. Hoarse voice, Kingston. Luke Kingston, finally looked up at her. That gaze calm like frozen lake, no ripple, nor reflecting anyone's shadow. Wait for your discharge, he spoke, voice not loud, but each word clear, like cracking ice. Carrying chill after all, ended. We'll do divorce procedures. Samantha Vance's body suddenly stiffened, as if hit by invisible sledgehammer. Fresh bandaged wrist sent fierce pain, but not 1/10,000th heart-torn pain now. She stared at Luke Kingston, lips trembling violently, but couldn't utter syllable. Hope, completely shattered, only darkness and boundless cold left. The child is yours. Luke Kingston continued, tone without fluctuation, as if reciting contract terms, already drafted long ago. Maintenance I'll pay on time. One of you and Morgy. Home savings in that old house all yours. Meow. Indeed. I only keep the small apartment we're in and my car. Nanny and he even took from carried briefcase a pre-printed A4 file placed on gurney side rail, bold letters on page top, like red-hot iron, burning Samantha Vance's eyes. Divorce agreement form. This is draft agreement. Look it over. Luke Kingston's tone casual as saying, this is shopping list. The asset division and visitation I just said. I need be. He paused a bit, gaze seeming brief complex fluctuation, but fast. No one caught. I wave. Nina better with you. Y'all me. The 5 words, wave visitation rights. Like 5 knives stabbing Samantha Vance's heart at once. Even Nina doesn't want to see anymore? He wants to cut all ties with this family completely. No! Samantha Vance finally found her voice, both shattered and mournful. No! Megan. Luke Kingston, you can't do this. No! Nina is your daughter. You can't abandon her. You can't be so heartless. I was wrong. Can I die to atone? Wonder is Sergio. Can I chop this hand off to pay you? Tell them I know what. She agitated lifted gauzed wrist, intending hard smash on bed rail. Luke Kingston acted extremely fast. One hand grabbed her wrist, tight, force, astonishing, leaving no struggle chance. Under cold gauze, wound pressed hard, sending sharp stinging pain. Samantha Vance cried out in pain. Luke Kingston looked down at her, gaze sharp as blade, carrying icy soul-piercing power. Samantha, his voice low, but with strange penetrating power, poured straight into her ear. Stop acting. All Samantha Vance's struggles and cries instantly froze. You slit your wrist, not really wanting death. One all. Luke Kingston intoned each word coldly, gaze without fluctuation. You just want me to soften, want me to feel guilty, want to use your blood and pain to kidnap me, to make me stay. He released the hand holding her wrist. Motion, decisive. No lingering. Just like that night. You cooperated with Travis Kane playing that ambiguous game, not really having old feelings for him. Ray and C. He stood straight, gaze, passing her, looking to void darkness at hallway end. You were just enjoying the attention, being egged on by everyone, enjoying the vanity that in others' eyes, you still have appeal, still have value. He withdrew gaze, fell again on Samantha Vance's blood loss, pale face, full of astonishment. and huge humiliation after completely seen through. You use your grievance and helplessness to kidnap my trust. Now want to use your blood and pain to kidnap my responsibility and pity. You, Luke Kingston's mouth corner, slightly curled tiniest bit, that curve, cold and cunning, carrying fatigue after understanding human nature. Samantha, you always know what you want, always know what to do. Just this time, you chose wrong state. Also, bet wrong opponent. He picked up the divorce agreement on gurney rail, lightly tapped the pages, making crisp sound. Sign it. His tone restored that despairing blandness. This is best outcome for you, me, and Nina too. Now I finished. He didn't look at Samantha Vance again, as if one more look superfluous. He turned back straight, under stark white light, looking extremely cold, rigid, lonely, stepping toward hallway exit, footsteps echoing an empty, quiet hallway, gradually fading, finally disappearing at cold plastic chair's corner, only leaving divorce agreement, thin but heavy as 1,000 pounds. Samantha Vance, dazed, sat on gurney, wrist pain long numb. Luke Kingston's last words, like cold scalpel, precisely dissecting all her disguises, all self-deceptions, exposing deepest heart things, even she unwilling to admit, the vanity and secret calculations, bared naked under daylight. She lost miserably, even what she saw as last card. The madness, threatening with life, in his eyes just poor performance, attempt to force morals. The huge humiliation and bone-chilling despair like tsunami drowned her completely. She went limp on gurney, even strength to cry gone, only endless deathly darkness left. The cold endpoint officially curtained. Samantha Vance stayed hospital observation one night. That night, she stared wide-eyed at white ceiling. Those last bone-chilling words, freezing Luke Kingston's heart, like recorder repeating in her head, each word like poison needle, stabbing her ruined, humiliation, despair, with numbness, after fully exposed to world, alternately, tormenting her. Next morning early, she notified no one, did discharge procedures herself, gauze layer on wrist, reminding her of last night's madness and stupidity. Stepping out hospital gate, late autumn cold wind blew face, carrying bone-piercing chill, returning to what once called home, air filled with deathly aura. Luke Kingston, not in study, folding bed, already packed, his things on desk, cleared completely, leaving only empty cold desktop, whole house, his traces erased at terrifying speed, fast making one panic. On living room, coffee table, that divorce agreement placed neatly. Beside also placed a small black calculator, asset division terms in agreement very clear. Nina to her, maintenance monthly, savings, old house living in all to her. Luke Kingston only takes small 2-bedroom apartment, in slightly far area they invested later, and his car. Very fair almost coal. At agreement end. Signature, spot, still, blank. Samantha Vance picked up agreement. Paper, cold. She looked at those terms. At bold cold wave visitation rights line. Heart as if invisible hand squeeze. Pain making her bend double. Even Nina's face last time doesn't want to see. He really hates her this much? Tears silently welled, dripping on paper, blurring, small ink smudge. She knew struggling meaningless now. Luke Kingston's resoluteness. Last night, A.T. hospital, she experienced thoroughly. This man's heart once cold, hard. No way back. Signing is only escape. Also, last pitiful dignity left. She trembling picked up pen, nib hovering at signature forever, not descending. Each hesitation, second, like self-torture. Finally, she closed eyes. Deep breath, as if using all strength, signed her name in blank. 2 words, Samantha Vance scribbled, like dying worm, signed. Huge exhaustion instantly enveloped her. She sat on cold floor, back against sofa, eyes dazed ceiling. Ended, all ended. Unknown how long passed. She barely stood, like soulless corpse. Started packing her things mechanically. Luke Kingston had packed his items, almost done, remaining all hers and Nina's. She carefully packed Nina's clothes, toys, books into large suitcase, then started arranging her own clothes. When she opened bottom wardrobe drawer, pulled out her largest suitcase, saw suitcase not fully closed, zipper still gap small. She instinctively reached in to arrange, but finger touched something. Hard, square, strange object inside. She puzzled, pulled it out. It was thick craft file bag. No recipient name. Bag mouth. Wrapped with ordinary twine. Her heart tightened. Strong nameless unease enveloped her. She trembling yanked twine. Opened file bag. Inside neat stapled A4 stack. And few photos. She pulled top sheet. Eye-catching title and heading. Preliminary inspection report on tax law violation clues of Far Horizon Building Materials Company Limited. Below dense tables data, invoice copies, bank statement screenshots, transport records comparison analysis. Each evidence pointed straight at company of David Harris and Travis Kane having bogus invoicing and serious tax evasion. Report coherent, clear. Evidence chain tight, professional to suffocation. On key evidence page of report, someone used red pen mark, circled prominent numbers of few transport invoices. Beside handwritten note, license plates, 37, 37, 30, 30s, 30C, 92. No traffic records on related routes, on invoice date. Fabricated operations. Bogus deductions. Samantha Vance's hand started, trembling violently, uncontrollably. She flipped, thick report fast. Those cold numbers and terms, like thousands needles stabbing her eyes. She flipped to last pages. Few printed photos. Main character in photos, Travis Kane. Background cold bars of detention. One of them, Travis Kane in prison uniform, handcuffed. Escorted by 2 police. He bowed head, hair disheveled, face complete desperate collapse. Below photo, small printed line. Suspect, Travis Kane, arrested per law on day X month Y. The other photo, David Harris's company, main gate, cross-sealed tapes. On seals, fresh red stamps of tax authority and police. Striking eyes. Boom. Samantha Vance only felt something exploding in head. Her eyes darkened, ears ringing. She couldn't stand steady. It was him, really him. That night's Travis Kane wails in hallway. David Harris Company sudden collapse. Those terrifyingly accurate investigation breakthroughs. All Al had coldest, cruelest answer. Luke Kingston not only knew early what happened that night, but he even launched this fatal revenge. From first moment, receiving photo Watthouse, he used his best weapon, cold numbers, tight logic, precise grasp of rule loopholes. By most legal, undeniable way, personally pushed David Harris and Travis Kane into bottomless abyss, no escape. And this report file, ironclad evidence enough to nail Travis Kane to shame. Pillar. He actually put it in her suitcase. Why? To declare his victory? To tell her how ridiculous her betrayal, how thorough his revenge, or use this coldest way to crush completely last hope, Ray. That he just misunderstood. He just sulking, her self-deception. Samantha Vance gripped tight the thick report, pages crumpled by her, torn white, knuckles whitened from force, body uncontrollably shaking violently. The shock, huge fear, with indescribable humiliation of being completely toyed in palm, like tsunami instantly drowning her. So, for a moment, she chose cooperate with Travis Kane at reunion, chose that step for ridiculous face, outcome long predetermined. All her tears, all repentances, all kneeling begs, all meaningless. Even that mad gamble with life as stake. In Luke Kingston's eyes, just clumsy acts. He long saw through. He coldly observed from outside, step by step, calculating precisely each step. Finally, using this cold evidence file stuffed in suitcase to put period on their marriage, and also on disaster, he ignited single-handedly. Most cruel period. Bloodiest. The suitcase, zipper wide open, looking like mouth mocking, silently. Samantha Vance, exhausted, collapsed on cold floor. That heavy report scattered at her feet. She looked at cold title on report cover, then looked up to living room coffee table, where signed divorce agreement lay. Sunlight through window shone in, falling on agreement, on 3 words. Luke Kingston, soon signed by him, with strong strokes, piercing paper. Sun also fell on scattered evidences on floor, symbolizing complete destruction of Travis Kane and David Harris. The cold light reflected her blood loss, pale face. All ended, all silent, only scattered report pages, making faint rustle in cold wind gust, blowing through room, like death god's sigh.